I never thought a rainy night and a simple pizza order would stir up feelings I believed had quietly faded away with the years. But from the moment I opened that door, something in the air shifted. My heart began to beat faster, and I could already sense that this evening was going to bring me closer to someone in a way that felt both thrilling and deeply tender, the kind of closeness that makes you aware of every breath and every gentle touch. It was one of those quiet evenings in my little house on the outskirts of town. The rain had been falling steadily since afternoon, tapping against the windows like soft fingers trying to get my attention. At 72, I've grown used to these lonely nights. My children live far away, and most evenings I sit with a book or an old movie, remembering younger days when life felt fuller and warmer. That particular night, the silence felt heavier than usual. I missed the simple comfort of another person's presence, the sound of quiet conversation, the feeling of not being completely alone. So I picked up my phone and ordered a large pizza with extra cheese, just to have a reason for someone to come to my door. About 20 minutes later, the doorbell rang. I smoothed my hair, adjusted my soft house robe, and walked to the door. When I opened it, there he stood under the porch light, rain dripping from his jacket. He looked to be in his late 40s, tall with kind eyes and a gentle smile that reached them. Water glistened on his shoulders. "Good evening, Ma'am," he said politely, holding the warm pizza box. "Your delivery on this wet night?" I smiled and stepped aside. "Please come in, dear. It's pouring out there. Put the pizza on the dining table." He hesitated for just a second, then wiped his shoes carefully on the mat and stepped inside. The scent of rain mixed with the warm aroma of the pizza filled my living room. I closed the door behind him, noticing how the soft glow from my table lamp made everything feel intimate and cozy. He placed the box on the table, then his eyes accidentally drifted to my phone lying nearby. The screen was still playing an old romantic film I had paused earlier, one of those classic stories where a man and a woman stand very close in a quiet room, eyes locked, the kind of scene filled with unspoken longing and gentle tension. He looked at it for a moment, longer than necessary. When our eyes met, I felt a sudden warmth rise in my cheeks. There was no awkwardness in his gaze, only a soft surprise and something deeper, like he understood the feeling the movie was showing. I didn't turn the phone off right away. Instead, I said softly, "It's an old favorite of mine. Sometimes these stories remind us of what it feels like to be close to someone again." He nodded slowly, his voice low and respectful. "I understand, ma'am. Rainy nights can make a person feel reflective." The room felt smaller now. The rain outside grew heavier, drumming steadily against the roof. I could hear my own breathing. When he turned toward the door to leave, something inside me didn't want him to go just yet. My hand moved almost on its own and turned the lock. The soft click sounded louder than it should have in the quiet room. He stopped and looked back at me. "Ma'am, the door?" His voice was gentle, not alarmed, just questioning. I walked closer to him, close enough to feel the warmth radiating from his body after being out in the cold rain. "Stay for a little while," I whispered. "The rain is too heavy, and it's been so long since I've had company on a night like this." He didn't step back. Instead, he stood still, looking into my eyes with such tenderness that my pulse quickened. Slowly, almost hesitantly, he raised his hand and let it rest lightly on my waist. The touch was warm and respectful, his fingers barely pressing through the soft fabric of my robe. I didn't pull away. I placed my palm gently on his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart beneath my hand. It was beating as fast as mine. We stood there for a long moment, bodies close but not rushing. His other hand moved slowly to my arm, tracing a light, comforting path from my elbow to my shoulder. The warmth of his fingers sent soft shivers through me, the kind that wake up memories of younger years when simple touches felt electric. I let my hand slide to his strong arm, feeling the firmness under his damp jacket. Our eyes stayed locked. The closeness brought a deep sense of comfort, mixed with a quiet excitement I hadn't felt in many years. He leaned in just a little, his breath warm against my neck as he spoke softly. "You're trembling," he said. "Are you cold?" I shook my head and smiled. Not cold, just feeling alive again. His hand moved gently from my waist to the small of my back, drawing me a fraction closer. I could feel the heat of his body against mine, the way his chest rose and fell with each breath. My fingers brushed along his shoulder, then lightly touched the back of his neck. His skin was warm, despite the rain outside. We swayed ever so slightly together, not dancing exactly, but moving in that natural rhythm two people fall into when they're sharing a tender, private moment. The rain continued its steady rhythm, matching the pace of our quiet breathing. I rested my head lightly against his shoulder, inhaling the fresh scent of rain on his clothes, mixed with something warm and masculine. His hand stroked my back in slow, soothing circles, each pass sending waves of gentle pleasure through my body. I traced my fingers down his arm again, feeling the strength there, then let them rest on his hip for a moment. He responded by pulling me even closer, our bodies now pressed softly together in a warm embrace that felt both protective and exciting. Time seemed to slow down. We didn't speak much after that. Words weren't necessary. His fingers found the curve of my hip again, holding me with such care, as if he understood how precious and rare this closeness was for both of us. I ran my hand up his back, feeling the muscles tense and then relax under my touch. Every small movement, every brush of skin, every shared breath built a beautiful, slow-burning tension that filled the room. My heart felt full. His touch on my thigh, light and respectful through the fabric, made me close my eyes and simply enjoy the sensation of being desired and cared for in this gentle way. We moved to the couch eventually, sitting very close. His arm went around my shoulders, pulling me against his side. I rested my hand on his thigh, feeling the warmth there as we talked softly about life, about rainy nights, about how loneliness creeps in when you least expect it. His fingers played gently with my hair, occasionally brushing my neck and sending those lovely warm tingles down my spine. I let my head lean against his chest, listening to his heartbeat while his hand rested comfortably on my hip, holding me near. The intimacy grew deeper in its own quiet way. He would occasionally let his fingers trace slow patterns on my arm, my waist, the side of my thigh, always gentle, always asking without words if it was okay. And it was more than okay. It felt healing. I touched his face once, cupping his cheek, and he leaned into my palm with closed eyes. We stayed like that for what felt like hours, exchanging soft touches, warm embraces, and long, meaningful looks that said everything words could not. The pizza sat forgotten on the table, growing cold, but neither of us cared. As the rain began to ease outside, he held me a little tighter, his hand moving slowly up and down my back in that comforting rhythm. I felt safe, desired, and beautifully alive in his arms. My fingers traced the line of his shoulder and neck one last time, memorizing the warmth and strength there. We didn't need to rush or go further. This closeness, this tender connection, was enough to fill the empty spaces I had carried for so long. When it was finally time, he kissed my forehead with such respect and whispered, Thank you for this unexpected warmth on a cold night. I'll remember how you felt in my arms. I smiled and unlocked the door. He stepped out into the now gentle drizzle, turning once to look back at me with that same kind, lingering gaze. I closed the door and leaned against it for a long moment, my body still tingling with the memory of his touches. On my waist, my hips, my neck, my back. The house didn't feel quite so empty anymore. That night reminded me that even at this stage of life, beautiful and intimate moments can arrive when we least expect them. Sometimes all it takes is opening the door, both to your home and to your heart. And whenever it rains now,